Hi, I'm Emma from Barre Body. Today I'd like to talk to you about the appropriate modifications for pregnancy during your Barre Body classes. Now, as you can see, I am well and truly pregnant. I'm 6.5 months pregnant, so I'm going to be very legit today when I talk to you about how you should move your body differently in a barre class. A lot of these modifications are also appropriate for other fitness classes, so keep that in mind. First thing I want to talk to you about are the basic principles of pregnancy. In your first trimester, I recommend listening to how you feel. You'll probably have morning sickness. You may not want to exercise at all. I certainly don't recommend taking up a new fitness program in the first trimester. The first trimester is one where you really want to protect and nurture your baby. I personally prefer long walks, really gentle exercise. I would stay away from yoga. Barre's okay, but I would really listen to your body. And if you want to be super, super careful, just take that 3 months to really nurture your body and protect that little being that's growing inside you. From the second trimester onwards, there's certain things that you can do to make things more comfortable. So early in the second trimester, you won't need to make a lot of modifications because your belly won't be very big yet. But there's a couple of things that I want you to think about throughout your entire pregnancy. The first one is no closed twisting. So I'm going to explain what that means. So basically, there's two ways that we can twist. There's a closed twist where you can see I'm going across my body. So I'm closing this area from my rib cage to my waist. I'm closing it. I'm making it smaller. So this is considered a closed twist. And it's quite contracting on the belly. I'm not going to do it obviously because I'm pregnant. It doesn't feel good. But this is a really contracting feeling on the belly, and twists by their very nature are detoxifying, so it's not something we want to do during pregnancy. However, you can twist the other way. See how I'm actually lengthening this rib to this hip bone. I'm lengthening the space, therefore I'm still twisting my body, still having a beautiful, beautiful twist, but I'm making more space rather than closing. So think open twisting rather than closed twisting. That absolutely applies for throughout the second and third trimesters, so the entire pregnancy. The second thing I want to talk to you about is the second really basic principle, and this one certainly applies for the second and third trimester, is making space for the baby. So everything you do should be with the mindset, and you can repeat this mantra in your barre classes or your yoga classes or fitness classes. Make space for the baby, make space for the baby. And it becomes pretty obvious certain things that you want to do to make space for the baby. So, for example, standing up, you want to make sure that you're making space for the baby by having your feet hip distance apart rather than together. So plenty of space for the baby. If I were to do a forward fold, I'm going to forward fold certainly with feet at least hip distance apart, maybe even a little bit wider, just thinking about that idea of making plenty of space for the baby. And maybe while I'm taking a forward fold, I might even like to use a prop or the bar. Lots of space for the baby here. I'm still getting a beautiful stretch through my hamstrings, but lots of space for the baby. So feet hip distance apart, and this applies to some of our barre exercises. So for example, rather than doing your parallel work with your legs together, you do them with your feet apart, about hip distance apart. I like to pop a block between my legs. We have them at all of the studios. A block between my legs, it gives me something to sort of hold on to and helps me to make sure that the knees track over the toes. So to recap so far, no closed twisting. So this is a closed twist. Think about open twisting. So opening up, more space here. Second one, make space for the baby. So feet hip distance apart. They're the really, really simple basic principles. How, again, this idea of making space for the baby, how that might manifest in your class. I'll give you an example. Say in downward dog, we might be doing we often do these beautiful, draw the knee to the chest and then extend. You're just going to keep it really small. Rather than doing the whole squeeze the belly, you'll keep it small, knee to the chest. See, I've still got plenty of space for the baby. So if you remember that little mantra, make space for the baby. A lot of the modifications will be second nature to you. So throughout your class, just think, make space for the baby. And the other thing I want you to think about is, does it feel good? So principle 3, always make sure that you feel good. You want to feel this throughout your pregnancy. Sometimes you'll be more tired than others. Sometimes you'll have little niggles. Oftentimes there's round ligament pain, which is when the uterus is growing and the muscles are stretching. Really honor your body and listen to that. And if there's any pain, any discomfort, take a break. And that is a really beautiful segue into the 4th principle that I always advise my clients, and that is listen to your body and take rest. There's going to be times throughout the class where you're not feeling so good. You'll have great days and you'll have less good days. Just remember, you get to take breaks anytime you want to. One of my favorite places to take a break is child's pose. Child's pose is your friend. Use it as often as you need to in a class. So legs nice and wide. Remember, make space for the baby. You might even like to grab a block. You can pop your forehead on the block, or a bolster, put the bolster along, and just plenty of space, and take rest anytime you need to. When you're at the bar, maybe you do a few less repetitions. You take the options that your teacher gives you for breaks. It's really important. Listen to your body. I can't say that enough. Listen to your body. Make space for your baby. So they're the basic principles that will see you through the entire class. The next really important thing to talk about is core. Core is such a controversial topic in pregnancy. I'm going to give you some really fail-safe rules to live by. So the first one is to stop doing any abdominal work like crunches. So anything where we're working the rectus abdominis, so that's the 6-pack muscles, and you can see I'm not sporting a fantastic six-pack at the moment. I have a very hard belly though. So these 6-pack muscles, we don't want to do anything to work these muscles. The reason being is throughout pregnancy, there's a real danger that these muscles can separate. It's very, very common and happens to lots of women. So if it happens to you in your pregnancy, please don't worry about it. There's lots of things you can do postnatally to fix it, but you can do things to prevent it. And one of those things is avoiding those crunchy type movements. So anything where you're activating the 6-pack muscles. Now, that said, so the rectus abdominis, that said, it is really important to continue to strengthen your transverse abdominis. So your transverse abdominis runs like if you imagine a big thick rubber band around your lower belly, that's your transverse abdominis. Throughout your classes, I want you to think about drawing your lower belly in and up and tightening that band around your waist. So this is really, really great. These are your stabilizing muscles, really important, and these will help avoid that separation of the abdominal muscles. The other muscles that you can still work are your obliques. So these are these beautiful side bending muscles that give you a nice waist. You can still work those. So it's just these bad boys at the front that we want to give a total rest throughout pregnancy. So to recap, in terms of core work, we don't want to do anything like this, but we do want to work the transverse abdominis and these oblique muscles. There's another video in this series which shows a short core sequence, which is absolutely appropriate for pregnancy. When your teacher gets to the core part of the class, which typically happens, it's often sometimes at the start, typically it's at the end before we take our stretch and our cool down. I want you to either do the core exercises, which the sequence that in another video that I'll show you works these transverse abdominis and the oblique muscles. The other option that you have is we've got another sequence which is a prenatal yoga sequence, and you can watch this video, learn the postures, and then do them in class instead of your the core sequence. So you have options, and depending on how you feel, you might do core one day and as in the prenatal core, or prenatal yoga another day. So totally up to you. The other video in this series shows you how to modify sun salutations. So in Barre Body, we do lots and lots of sun salutations. This will show you a nice way to do it throughout pregnancy. So before I finish, there's a couple more things that I want to talk about, important to remember throughout pregnancy or in your Barre Body classes. As you get to the end of the class, one thing we don't like to do is lie on our backs for too long. So the reason that we don't do this is because the weight of the uterus, I'm going to do it for a little moment, don't worry, I'll be okay. The weight of the uterus can compress the vena cava nerve. Now the vena cava nerve is the nerve that sends blood flow to the uterus. So really important that we don't stay here for too long. And you'll see me rolling to the side. That's also really important. The reason that I'm doing that is I'm avoiding any of this abdominal six-pack rectus abdominal work. So I roll to the side to bring myself up. So you can lie on your back for short periods of time, no more than a minute or two. Rather, I would prefer that you lay on your side. So you can grab a bolster, pop it between your legs or nothing at all. And during Shavasana, when everybody else is having a little rest on their back, you'll just lie on your side, or you can always take child's pose. And remembering that if you do need to come up, well, at some point you'll definitely need to come up. When you need to come up, we roll to the side, not using these muscles, roll to the side and sit right up. So there you have it. That is how I would like to see you modify your classes for pregnancy in your second and third trimesters. First trimester, I say take a break. Nurture that little baby that's growing inside you for the first trimester. Come back after 13 weeks when you've had your first scan. And then in terms of how long you can do Barre Body classes, you can do it up to the day you give birth. I've had clients up to 39, 40 weeks and they feel fantastic. I certainly plan to go all the way through. Again, though, honoring my body, listening to my body, taking breaks when I want to. Some of the most amazing benefits of Barre Body, staying strong throughout your pregnancy. You'll recover so much more quickly. Your legs will be strong, really amazing for these active birth postures like squatting. Like you'll have these amazing, beautiful, strong legs. Really helps you with endurance and stamina throughout labor. And as I said, it'll help you come back so much quicker from your pregnancy. Thank you so much for listening to me. Watch this, if you're coming to Barre Body, please watch this a few times over so you can really familiarize yourself with these modifications and adjustments to your class, and hopefully we'll see you soon.